No, you can stay.
It's
I'm
on
going to
live.
introduce you.
You're on air.
We can see the mastermind behind the structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're on
Queen of.
air, Romy.
Hey, everybody.
All right.
Sorry about the late start. We had some technical difficulty. So before we get started, I want to introduce Colin quick because Colin is the one that's kind of she's the mastermind, the power, she's the person that we lean on if we have technical difficulties. She's our chica. So I want everybody to see her and to know how valuable she is to us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Curtis, so good to see you, all of you guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to pop off here, but I wanted to say good evening and thank you. And I'm glad everything's working now, and we are going to rock it.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Thanks, sweetheart.
Bye. Bye.
All
right. So we are in Waldport, Oregon. We're actually starting our 3rd week on the road, full-time RVing, and so we're making our way slowly up the Oregon coast, but I actually think we're going to go inland a little bit because I'm starving for some sunshine. It is beautiful here.
There's a reason it's so green. All that rain.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's fantastic. I love the ocean. I love the beach. Everything about it. I love it, but I need some sunshine. So we'll be here for a little bit longer.
Gotta go south to California. They don't know what rain is.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
They prefer you take it with them. So.
Yeah. So and we have Karina with us again tonight. Karina's actually running the hangout tonight because our service is kind of sketchy. So I want to make sure that everything gets taken care of in case I get popped off. Curtis, you are back in Hong Kong, right?
Yes, I am. I'm sitting in my office in Hong Kong, having a great time.
Cool. So how long have you been back in Hong Kong?
Oh, since, I guess came in May 12th. So
wow.
It's about mid-May. And we'll head back to, actually I've got to head back to the U.S. for an event that we're committed, Lisa and I are committed to be a part of. She's still back in the U.S. The middle of June. 17th through the 20th, but then I'll be back here until mid-July. So I'm just popping back and forth for about 6 days, and then I'll be over here until mid-July and then back for a little bit. I'm staring right out the window at Victoria Harbor, so it's a great view from the office. So it's a great view, but it was a great view right here to spend time with your friend and you. I mean, you look like the happiest servant leader on the planet right now.
It is. It's quite surreal to see. I mean, we're just trying to figure out what this is supposed to look like, and so it's very fun. You just wake up when you wake up, and you do what you want to do. I'm probably on my 6th book, and so.
And what's fun is with today's technology, particularly as full-time RVers, you can get your little satellite thing going, and you've got the ability to stay in touch with the team, to guide, to lead, to do all that, but then to show, guys, I'm only here because here's where we're coming. That's why I love the goal that you guys had at the beginning of the year. Said we want to help. It was 268. It was an unusual number. 268 people to go diamond this year, and so that's what it's all about. And that's a great thing to do, to go out and be living the life while leading and serving, because it shows the people that that's the magic of what we do. You can do both. You can have both. That's what it's supposed to be. And so that's fun. I just, you know what I love about these things? I love every time, and just understand, Romy, because I know your story, I love every time watching this, as you guys said Diamond, how exciting that was, and then Blue Diamond, you were like kids in kindergarten waiting for it's Christmas Eve, you're waiting for the next morning where they'll let you go get at the presents under the tree. And still thinking to myself, yeah, and this is the woman who about 3.5, 4 years ago just didn't think it was possible to make more than $2,000 a month. And I said, and so what's fun is here's a living example of not only the power of network marketing, but the wonderful thing about your company. You guys have a great company. It's really solid. It's doing great things around the world. It's growing really successfully. And that's the key. If you get with a good company that's run by people who are going to be solid and strong, and then you get leadership that's solid and strong, that you can do some amazing things. So
Yeah.
that's it. It's all about making a decision.
A decision, yeah. We actually, I was talking with my upline actually last week about, you know, just trying to figure out, because there are some leaders that feel like they're stuck and they're struggling a little bit, and some of it is, I think, really getting into even more of that belief and more of that decision of, you know, why are you doing this and what do you want out of it and what are you willing to do to get it.
Well, you know, let's touch on that for a second. I had a conversation with somebody because I knew we came into this hangout and say there wasn't necessarily a set agenda. Let's provide some value. Let's just see if we can find some things we can touch on that can give value to you and your emerging leadership team, everything down to new people on the team. And so let me share some thoughts, and it was something I had in a conversation a couple of days ago with someone. You know, Lisa and I, we do a lot of coaching and training for you guys. We love it, and a lot of other teams that are. What we really do is we've got really good friendships that we engage with, so that we all can help each other be better. Because we learn as much from this as you guys do. It's a part. If you want to really learn, start teaching. If you really truly want to learn, start teaching, and you'll realize that you have to really understand it to a greater depth than you might if you're really going to be able to share it with somebody else. The second thing is this, though. We do a lot of coaching. We do a lot of mentoring. We support a lot of organizations. Just a couple of weekends ago, I guess I apologize. I came in on the 19th or 20th of May because, gosh, you know, I fly so much I can't remember when I left the U.S. Anyway, but because okay, here's what I know. I remember with absolute clarity. It was the 19th. I remember with absolute clarity. I was in Dallas for the ANMP. The Association of Network Marketing Professionals meeting, and the reason I was there is I was the host presenter, like I do with Eric, but I was also one of the instructors. So myself and 59 other, top tier 7-figure earners, and some were. I mean, you gotta understand, I don't put myself in the league of many of them because some of them were just mind-boggling. There were 60 people on that stage over a 4-day period that have collectively, as a group, earned $500 million in commissions. And just extraordinary, brilliant minds, even outside network marketing professionals. Sean Eckhor, who, if you've not read the book about the happiness advantage and before happiness, if you've not read that, you're so missing out. I mean, completely. And it's not about network marketing, but he sees the parallels between what people should be able to do to reach towards happiness and network marketing and success in network marketing. And so he's become very close with Garrett McGraw, who is a top income earner in a company, but he's the president of the NMP and a true servant leader, he and his wife Sylvia. And so you had, he was there, you had other individuals who are part of his collaborative team who talk about, you know, mind psychology stuff. So it was a phenomenal event, unbelievable event. And it was there that we had the opportunity to kind of have a lot of individuals who have been 20, 30-year veterans of the profession who we all got to come together and share the stage, but then spend a lot of time just milling around. And it was, we always talk about the meeting after the meeting. So there were, I was like a kid in a candy store. I mean, it was wonderful just to walk up to groups where you'd have 3 or 4 or 5, multi-million-dollar earners just having a casual conversation because it was a total giving event and giving spirit. And you just see this crowd that starts to form, and people just kind of eavesdropping, and then I'd come in and we'd eavesdrop, and we just start to collaborate and have conversation. And one of the things so we go to those training events, we support Eric in his training events. We believe massively, and with our own teams and within stuff we do a lot of training and coaching. Almost all of the time, people are coming to that as those to be trained, looking for the how. Because I'm used to, I want to bake a great cake. Show me how. Teach me how to bake a great cake. And I suppose you can then write down this specific recipe, but the greatest chefs in the world don't have a recipe because they are a great chef. Therefore, intuitively and instinctively, what they've done is they have grown to a point where they understand their world so well They simply do what great chefs do, and what comes out is a great cake. And part of that in network marketing, it's not the how-to recipe that you need to become good at, it's the who you are thing that you have to become. And here's why. There will become a moment, and when I look back on my career, I realize it. And I didn't realize it really until later. People know my story. I started in this profession 27 years ago, failed for 2 years, was going to quit. It just didn't work for me. And only later did I realize how good the leadership was that I was ignoring and not listening to, and that were trying to coach me that I was not being coachable. I just figured it didn't work because as they explained it and as they talked about the how-tos, I thought there's no way you can make that kind of money following steps that are that simple. Again, I've said many times these trainings, don't ever confuse simple and easy. It's very hard work to get to the level that Broome and Mark have achieved. It's extremely hard work. I mean, it's a lot of bust your butt, blood, sweat, and tears work, but it's very simple. It's so simple that you can take someone who never completed a second-grade education, and they can get it. The question is whether or not they'll do it. But I didn't believe it was that simple, so I struggled, found a mentor who said, if you don't listen to me, I'm going to refuse to speak to you again. I mean, I don't have time to waste. You just don't listen, so shut up and do exactly what I say, and if you're not going to do that, then you're right, it's not for you. Go find something else to do. We've tried to say it gently. Now I'm going to really basically grab you by the throat and kick you squarely in the pants, and now either do it or don't. And I did. I finally got in position because he'd reached the level of frustration, so he was very brutally blunt and said, yeah, get out or listen. And I did, and when I finally got to where I was able to earn an income that wasn't this dynamic, mind-blowing, but it suddenly made me realize, okay, I get it, this really is possible. But what really shifted, and it was probably, I don't know, 6 months after I knew enough how-tos that I guess I thought I believed, there was a moment when I finally did. And it was literally a circumstance where there were two members of the team who were so identical it seemed, it was almost as if they were twins from separate mothers. And two women, and I mean, they even looked kind of similar, but their personalities were very similar, their educational backgrounds were very similar. Everything was just, in the same town. They started about the same time, different parts of the team, but they both started at the same time. And I watched one go through a process over the next 6 months, and the other go through her process, and one ended up going on and succeeding wildly, and the other one never made it and eventually quit and left. And as someone who was coaching these two people and watching as information went out and went in, I also realized it had happened for me. And what it is if you're stuck, if you're one of the part of the leadership team that's stuck, if you're a new person getting started and you're getting frustrated, and I know this sounds so bizarrely, mystical, spiritual, burn incense, get down and go, but here's what it is. It's not what do you do, it's not how do you do it, it's who are you. And here's what I will share with you. And I don't mean it to sound harsh. I'm going to try and be as gentle as I can with it. As much as you believe that you believe, if you think that you've reached a point where you're stuck, it's because you don't believe. Not truly. Because there is a calm that happens within when you absolutely so know to the core of your being that this is the place, not just for you, but it is the place, that it is truly the place in the world, that given how the world has changed and shifted, it is the only place. The world of network marketing is the only place where the possible highs are as great as they are for literally every single human being on the planet who becomes who they're supposed to become and chooses to do the work. And what I mean by that is there is a calm when the belief is so great, the certainty is so solid. Because what happens is your whole conversation changes. And what I realized for me was, and it really solidified for me, because I realized in the process of working with these two women that I had suddenly become my mentor. I had not achieved that level of success, have a long way to go, but that my mental position, my centered position, I was him. I had finally reached that state where, because I suddenly, I got a sense of I was talking different. I just said things differently. My conversations were different. I was less interested in talking to you about my company. And I was less interested in talking to you about my opportunity. I was less interested in talking to you about my product. I was completely interested in you, period. Game, set, match, overdone. I was only interested in you. But I was only interested in you to the degree that I had a purpose. And my purpose was, are you at a place where you are open? Because if you're not, I'm not a can opener. It's not my job. It's not what I can do. And so and that's the problem. We all think we're can openers. We're going to take that solid lid and we are going to force a knife through it, a knife-like edge. We are going to twist and twist and twist, instead of the cans are the ones you could walk up to and just put your finger on the lid and you go, bink. And the only way to do that is in conversation, not presentation. And what happened to me was I was so certain that I had a way that if you were ready, not me, not if I wanted you to be ready, if you truly were ready, that I knew that by ready, it meant you had reached a point where you were tired of things to a point that you were willing to act. So here's the difference. I can go out and say, so you want to make some more money? Hey, come on down to this meeting, I'm going to show you how. Okay. Well, who doesn't say, yes, do you want to make more money? Hello? That's not a conversation that provides an effective result. I stopped talking. People didn't even know I was going to be talking to them about a home-based business. They didn't even know I was going to talk to them about doTERRA. They didn't even know I was going to talk about oils. They'd have no clue. I literally became a master of, pretend I was Gandhi with a business purpose. In other words, I was just outward focused. Mother Teresa with a business purpose. Not because I was trying to be holier than thou, or that what I meant was, so unfocused on me, I am so irrelevant, unimportant. My goals and objectives for myself, my kids, that kind of stuff, are so off the table right now, because I know that if I do that, my goals and objectives for my kids will be exceeded millions of times. And what happened is, when I became so certain that I had the truth, but I realized it can only be heard. How loud I scream it will have nothing to do with it. It can only be heard by someone whose filters are down and their desire to find is now great. Now, it doesn't mean that it'll be that when I start. What happens is people reach a point where they're so frustrated. I mean, and it doesn't have to be about age. There can be 22-year-olds today who are so frustrated. That's why throughout network marketing, there are so many companies enjoying such an unbelievable surge of young membership. Why? Go truly read the statistics. Go be for an hour and go out and read all of the data of what the future looks like for a university graduate, if you're from the U.S. right now, in the U.S. And understand it's happening around the world, but go look at what they're facing. Go look at the statistics of how long it takes someone to get, what percentage of students might end up with an entry-level job in anything to do with their field of study, regardless. You know, unless maybe it's medicine, at which point you're not going to make any money because you're brutally abused forever. You know, for years and years and years. And then you've probably got a hole in you know, medical school loans you'll never dig out of. I mean, if you look at the changes in the medical profession, if you look at the changes everywhere, if you look at students and what they face, the percentage that have to move back in with parents, the percentage that go on and they decide, well, I'll spend more money and get an advanced degree because there is nothing for me to do. There is nothing possible unless I'm just going to go get into the grind and the rotation of fast food or, you know, retail stuff, just basic retail stuff at the mall. They've reached a point where they and understand, many of them, they know that the whole time. They're in college because it's cool and it's fun to spend time with friends and party and play and have social and then study and accomplish my degree. But they're fully aware for the last 4 years as they've gone through university, they've been noticing that there is no future for them. There's no place to go. And then imagine the 45-year-old who thought at the age of 20, because 25 years ago it wasn't like it was, and there was this big thing, and every 20-year-old, 25 years ago, they thought that they were going to be billionaires and live infinitely long. They didn't, you know, they got it that their grandparents got old and died, but that's what old people do. But I'm young, I'm 20, I'm going to live forever anyway, so I'm going to be a billionaire, change the planet. But now they're 45 and they realize, you know, I've gotten into the rut. It's not where I am. It's not what's going on. All those dreams, it's not happening. All the stuff, and look at where they are. But the question is, are they at a moment where they're willing to act? Because what happens in both cases, for the young person who's got this fear of what they're entering, but fear creates the leap off the cliff thing, that action, that decision to truly go into action, that's a tough one. And then the 45-year-old who's been in that pattern, they've been in it for so long, they're like, okay, my life sucks, it's miserable, I hate it, but at least I barely can pay the bill, and we got food on the table, and maybe my kid's life will be better. When the reality is this is the first generation of people coming out of the youth who are absolutely destined to make less than their parents. So if their parents are frustrated at 45, what do you think the kids feel like? And so if you look at that, it's not about you. Stop thinking about doTERRA. Stop thinking about oils. Get over that. When you become a master and when you'll get unstuck, because you have to understand, your team, you will not move on to great success here unless you eventually mobilize, motivate, and empower a large group of people. Not by yourself, but you will empower your 15, 20, or 30, or whatever you introduce over time, not overnight. They will, from the moment you interacted with them, from the first moment you said a word to them, had you been who you were supposed to be, then you've coached them from that instant. Because it's the day you become so certain, because your belief is so real, your voice pattern will change. Your posture will change. The aura, if you will, just the electricity that you give off will change. The attractiveness that you will have because you're calm is so magnetic. It's like if you've been out in the ocean, and the ocean can have those rough days, but in those calm days where the weather is such that the ocean's gone calm, but if you're ever out on a boat out in the middle of nowhere ocean when it's that calm, the sense of overwhelming power is still, when there's big waves, there's that sense of power, but I've done some open ocean sailing, and when you had a calm moment, there's this sense of overwhelming, awe-inspiring power that is amazing. And so when you achieve that, you don't have to speak forcefully. You can just, when you just engage people, there's a look in your eye that is different. If you had been prospecting your team from that moment forward, you look at the team members that you start after that moment. You look at the team members before, and you will see two totally different groups. Why? Because your team is a reflection of who you are. And that's why it is difficult at first. Meaning the difficulty, it's not complex, but the difficulty at first is because you're so new, and it wasn't intentional, but there's almost a disservice, even if our heart was great, because we're not yet who we should become if we want to go to the top. When we started people, the first conversations they encountered weren't the kinds of conversations that enable them to be the most successful. But that's okay. It's all part of the growth process. We all go through it. But you watch what happens when you finally reach that position of total belief, starting with the person that you're connected to on the three-way phone by your team member. That person's experience will be totally different, because even your team member they'll start to evolve differently. So your existing folks who may have gotten off on the wrong path, they'll start to come the right way, because all of a sudden, every time they interact, if they put someone on the phone with you, they start to change because they hear something in your voice that's different, and they're starting to learn from that. And what will happen is your conversation is completely about them. I've gone through three-way calls and then almost never spoken about the company or the product, because the conversation was so real. I've said, to where I've gotten a conversation with someone where I could finally connect with them to the point and say, what we do is we work as a team of people who are completely and totally, absolutely committed to helping other people find what is right for them. And I don't know that this is right for you. I mean, I would want it to be. I hope it is. It'd be exciting if it is. Now that we've spoken, gosh, I think you'd be an amazing person to have on our team. But this is only a great place for you if you know it's a great place for you. And I just suddenly realized, Romy, that I'm not sure that there's some stuff, information I'd like to share with you. But for it to make enough sense, there's actually some more information you haven't seen yet that I would like you to see first, just for you. It's just purely for your benefit. And so from what you've told me, you really are looking for a change. I mean, you really are truly seeking. And so whether or not this is it, whether or not doTERRA is right for you, I want to help you find that. Because I think it's important, because I'll tell you what, it's changed my life. It's changed, Corinna's life. You put you on the phone with me, and so I appreciate your time. But let's do this. What I'd like to do is, what's your schedule like tomorrow? And do you have 20 minutes tonight? Because I'm going to send you a link to another video that you hadn't had a chance to see yet, and I want you to see this, because it's just more information that I think is really important. Why don't you take a look at that, and then let's set another time to talk, okay? If you're open to it. Why? Because for me, it's also a test. In order for that person to succeed, now, I don't test everybody where I won't allow anybody in. It's not that. What I mean is, if you're in a position where you're stuck, I'm trying to give you some examples of the types of things that will naturally happen when you're in the right place. Because during that same call, she may be stuck, but that's okay. She's really so open that maybe I can guide her through. But if somebody's still hesitant, see, here's the thing. I stopped being a can opener. I just stopped. And I taught my team, stop being a can opener, look for a different can. Right now, go look for a different can. We're wasting our time. See, we're all born here. We're all going to die here. We're somewhere in the middle. Money's circular. You can make it. You can lose it. That's all right. Get up. Go make it again. Time is linear. All of us are dying. We're getting to our dying moment. And not 1 second comes back. I stopped opening cans, and I started looking for cans whose lids were just, if you just turned it, it'd just fall off. And so I would get into that conversation, because when I sensed, well, let me do this. Why? Remember we said in some of our earlier trainings, you're not looking for the right people, because you have no idea who that is, so you obviously can't be looking for the right person, because when someone joins your team, they're only the potentially right person. Why? Because they looked. They looked with a potentially right person looks with an open mind. A potentially right person, a wrong person, does not look with an open mind. And so when I finally realize that somebody's still a little bit closed and hidden, I go, why? I'm teaching my team member. And I'll say, before I go into this, let me do this. There's one more bit of information that I think if we just start talking, it's going to waste your time and waste mine. I think your time's too valuable to waste. I think there's one other video that I suddenly realized that you hadn't seen yet, that might give a little more help. Let's set a time to talk tomorrow. Why? You know what my job is as a leader? Is to coach. You know what I do? I coach, and I say, here's the next step. Do you understand it? Great. Do you have all the resources to do it? Great. When will you have it done? Great. Great. Go do it, because I don't go do it for you. I do things with you. And one of the things I do is to see if you're the person worthy of my time. And so Corinna, let me give you this little step, and let's talk tomorrow at 10. Why? Because I'm going to see if you do the little step and you're ready to go at 10, because if you're not, I'm opening a can, and I don't have time to open a can. I say, well then, Corinna, I completely understand things got busy. Before we talk again, just out of respect for your time, why don't you watch that video, and whenever you get it watched, why don't you reach back and speak to Jim, and then have him set up a call and we'll talk. Because I'll be available to you anytime. Why? Because I'm done with you. You're not ready to be open. You're not ready. Because then Jim, I'll say, Jim, follow up with them. But here's the deal, Jim. If they won't watch that video, it's a simple instruction. It's 12 minutes. If they won't watch the video, why do we want to take their money, get them started? They're not ready. Because the potentially right person says, not a problem. And at 10 o'clock the next morning, they've watched the video, and they're ready for the follow-up call. If you're getting stuck, it's because you don't yet believe. Because if you believe, truly believe, that this is the one place in the world where you can travel the world, and even with translation, it's not the words you say, it's who you are. And I know it because I've traveled to over 40 countries around the world. I've been translated in over 18 different languages, actually 20 languages now. And I know that the reason I can make an impact, even through translation, is this person is just saying words, but they already know what they're supposed to know when they heard my voice, when they heard it come out, because they knew there is absolute certainty here. Let me truly connect. So get me the words, because I already got it. And that's what happens, is that because if you would start looking for imagine you had 10,000 cans, and 3 of them will make you a multi-millionaire. But, you know, or maybe 5,000, 10,000 might be too much, or 3,000, just some really big number. And 3 of them are going to make you multi-millionaire. And I hand you a can opener, and I say, now, by the way, here's what you got to do. You got to find the right 3 cans. I don't care how fast you crank, you can't crank 5,000 cans open. But if I just happen to mention, well, by the way, the 3 cans, all you got to do is slightly tilt and the lid's just going to fall off. You just start tilting. And I mean cans that lids didn't fall off, they just start flying out beside you, bing, 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 bing. And you suddenly, eventually, in 24 hours, totally exhausted, hands ready to fall off and bleeding from the blisters, bam, 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 you would have hit 3 cans that the lids fell off. That's the process. If you're getting stuck, put down the can opener. Become who you're supposed to be, and it's not about doTERRA. It's not about oils. It's about going out and connecting. It's about, and when you become that, when you know that I've struggled, I'm stuck at it, I've made I've never made a check. I've made $150 a month, you know, on average for 6 months. I've got people who come, they quit, they come, they quit, they come, they quit. I'm just stuck, or you know, I've got a team of about 300, but it's just not moving anywhere. Go look in the mirror and say, am I truly who I'm supposed to be? Because when you find cans whose lids fall off, it doesn't mean they won't quit. Most will, because most people, no matter if it's 1,000 steps to get to diamond on the diamond path of doTERRA, every single step of the people who make it to step 473, most of them will not go to the 474s. Whatever the next step is, the majority of the people who make it to this step won't do the next step. Why? Because the majority of people don't do anything. The minority of people are the ones who go all the way to excellence. But if you're not even, if you don't even have an open can, if you don't have a lid that will just fall off, if I say, you know, hang on a second. So, and people would say, well, how do you know who to do that with? I'd say, oh, God. Stop asking me how do you know that. Become the person you're supposed to be, and you will start to have conversations, and it will be obvious. Because it's so focused on them, you'll see someone, you stop, see, most people just try and see when they can finally pitch. When can I finally, doTERRA sensualis, quick, doTERRA sensualis, you're not going to say that. Stop. Just talk to them. And when you, because you say, I'm looking to see if you're even worthy of hearing the words doTERRA and sensualis. I don't even know if you're worthy of having me speak them to you. Why? Because I need to see, do I need my can opener again, or is your lid about to fall off? Because when you really, because you'll hear it, you'll see it. Everybody hesitates because they always think the other person's got an agenda. It's because you do. If you're stuck, you've got an agenda. Stop it. Get rid of your agenda. Because when you truly don't have an agenda, it may take them a moment because they're so beaten and bruised by the world at large, and everybody always has one, and the people who don't are the ones who do but are so good they can hide it and manipulate you, and they're just trying to mess you until they finally realize, you know, she really doesn't have an agenda. No. She's, oh, okay. All right, well, okay, well, here, let me talk to you. And then all of a sudden you had these conversations, and all of a sudden you begin to find. And so you'll know when you're supposed to say, well, here, why don't you watch this one last thing? Why? Because that's my test. Because I need to get off the phone. Because right now your lid's not ready to fall off. So I need to stop. Because you're not potentially the right person. Because while I still try and keep my can opener going, I got 53 lids that would just fall off. I just put down the can opener and just start flipping cans. That's when you get unstuck. Because what happens is your whole team suddenly starts to move there faster. How can you be how could you have stood in the presence of Mother Teresa for an extended length of time and not had a desire to suddenly just pick up unwanted children and just hold them? How could you not be in the presence of somebody? How could you be in the presence of somebody like Gandhi who just sat there in total peaceful conflict and want to go pick up a stick and hit somebody? You'd realize, while in their presence, you would suddenly realize because they were so completely who they weren't going to waver, and they were the day you truly believe and it stops being an agenda, your team will start to evolve more rapidly, and your emerging leadership will start to become that more. And when you build a group of people who are leading and coaching and mentoring a larger group of people, that leading group, all of whom are so certain they've put down the can opener, all of a sudden you start attracting the lids about to fall off cans. You start attracting them because they're out there, but just everybody's got an agenda. And the day it doesn't happen, it will happen with such speed, meaning it may take 6 months or a year, but all of a sudden you went from I was stuck, and then all of a sudden you get on that Romy path. You know, Romy was fortunate in that she was in the presence of leadership who believed when she didn't. Her belief, actually it wasn't she didn't believe, her belief was tiny. She believed you could get to 2,000 a month. I don't believe any of this 30, 40, 50 crap. That's bogus. You know, somebody got lucky, they won the lotto, that's just crap. But at least she believed in 2. Some people don't even believe that, you know, anybody will say yes. And then as she got there, her belief increased. But today, Romy believes there is no limit, and she's okay if somebody believes there's just a small limit because she knows. But if you have no belief, I can't work with you. Your lid, like I said, the lid may fall off and you may only get through 23 steps. Okay, but at 23 steps, we can get you to $300 a month. Let's see if now you believe in 5. Okay, great. Now your lid will fall off. Your lid was closed at 23 steps. So your lid was closed at $300 a month. Okay, but now you said, hey, $300 a month. Holy cow, I never thought I'd make anything. Well, good. Let's pop that now. Looks like your lid's open up again. Okay, great. Now let's go to step 42, and now you're going to be at $1,000 a month. Oh, and there you go. So that's what I would share. When people say they're stuck, I look at them and I smile and I say, okay, let's see if we can figure out. Let's step back to the beginning. Let's talk about you for a minute, and let's see what we can help you. How we can help you get through being stuck. And they think we're going to talk about a how-to, and that's when I have conversation. No, we're going to talk about it. How you become who you need to be. Because when you do, you will find, because everybody's got those members on the team who keep showing up. They'll always keep coming. If they kept coming to a place where they could finally be in the presence of that mind that is in the right place, then that might be their trigger. Right now, since you're still with a can opener, they're still with a can opener, and can openers always lose. You can't open cans. You have to find the lids that are ready to fall off. You know, and it doesn't mean that you can't open a can and it will change. I'm not saying you just don't, you know, but you got to be careful. You spend too much time with the wrong people, and the potentially right people who could have become the right people go walking by. And so that's what I share with you. And that's one of the conversations that I had with many of the folks at the NMP. It's when you finally talk to people at the highest levels and you get a chance to really mastermind with them, what you begin to realize is they're all of them are so completely and totally and absolutely certain. And then you start talking about it and you find there was a moment where that happened for them, and that's really, they didn't become that because they got to the top. That's how they got to the top. And so there you go. Now let's just, you know, for those who are stuck, and I don't mean this to sound, didn't mean it to sound harsh, and I hope I made it as gentle as possible, but if you're stuck, go put down the can opener. Because the world has so many, literally hundreds of millions of people who are they are so pessimistically convinced that it's not there, that this is just the way it is, and it just sucks the way it does, but at least it's survivable. And so here I'm just gonna exist my life out. I'm not gonna live it. There are some but who are so hardened that you've got to be able to get the crust off. Now there's a difference between breaking down the crust and opening the lid. And so when you become who you're supposed to become, the conversations, because there are some whose crust is so solidified, it's so petrified on there, it's never going to come off. Yes, okay, that's great. Then pass them along and just move on. But there are some that if they truly believe that you really do care about them and are focused, the crust will finally crumble, and then the lid will fall off. Now that's a conversation worthwhile. That's a process. That's a relationship and a conversation worthy of having over a week and a month and 2 months and 3 months before I finally mention the words doTERRA and essential oils. That's the thing. Some people in mastery, they built relationships. They had conversations over extended periods of time, but everyone was, well, why don't you take a look at this and then let's talk. Why? Because if you're not coachable enough to follow a simple step, if I've created the relationship properly through conversation, I've let you know, then this might make more sense to you, and maybe this will help you find your path. Well, if they told me they wanted to find their path, that's fine. I don't listen to people's words. I watch their actions. Well, you told me, but okay, then maybe this will help you find the path. And if they don't go do it or look at it or whatever, they weren't ready. So why would I waste my time? When that happens, and that happens within your team, you will start exposing your passion and who you are. As a team, you'll start exposing the embodiment of the team, and then you'll start finding those lids that are ready to go. You'll put down your can opener, and you'll have so many more people being exposed to the message that you have that then you'll get unstuck in a hurry. Because people are not numbers, but it is a numbers game. And getting stuck is where you're trying to can open cans instead of massively expose cans to, let's see if gravity just pops your lid. And that's what happened. So there you go. That was the message I wanted to share. I've had those conversations, with some folks at the NP, and then over the last couple of days, and it kind of took me back to my mindset of where I saw it. I mean, I learned enough how-tos that I was able to get to, $5,000-10,000 a month, but I remember that experience of watching these two people and saying, man, you could have found two more identical people, and this one went to the top and this one washed out, and what was it? And this one literally adapted to and achieved a mindset of belief, and long before they got to the big ranks, and their belief became so absolute, and this one was always about dollars and cents and ABCs and product facts and comp plan, scenarios, and put them here because that triggers that bonus. And this one was just boom, and it was funny to watch. And that's when I began to realize. But that's when I realized that's what had happened to me. I had become this person before they were there, but I was able to finally see it. And so there you go. Some thoughts of motorhome, RVing it around the country, and not leading so you can get to the lifestyle, leading from the lifestyle.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I can see this whole team. There's going to become the whole Romy and Mark RVing leading team. You'll get a whole gang of folks. You'll either become an armada going together, or you'll crisscross and this. Yeah. How cool.
Yeah. We've actually talked about that. Karina is hopefully going to come see us, and my daughter is out, just kind of temporary doing it, and so we have some other people on the team that are talking about doing that. I think it would be absolutely a blast to do some kind of a convoy.
Did you buy the RV or rent it?
We bought it.
Okay, because here's the question. Did you even stick a bumper sticker that said doTERRA or something somewhere?
Oh my gosh, you haven't seen our truck?
Here's what I was going to do. I wasn't going to call you out and put you on the spot, but did you wrap it?
Yes, I did. Let me show you.
One thing, even if you're going to servant lead and you're out for the lifestyle, you got this huge billboard thing, and I wondered if it might be a.
So they just completely wrapped it.
Oh, that's my whole point. That's exactly what I was going to. Ow, that's so. That is so cool. That's awesome. See, there you go. That's so great. What is that? Well, but before I explain it to you, let me ask a couple of personal questions. Do you like your life?
Yeah, exactly. Mark said that we were stopped at a gas station the other day, and he was listening to this guy, and he's like, I don't know what that means, but boy, is that cool.
I'm telling you, what I mean? Pretend, here's how you get unstuck. Without actually sticking on T-shirts and stuff, because people are fearful of people. They always think you have an agenda. If your aura is wrapped with absolute certainty, and you know how you can tell? People with absolute certainty have just big old smiles. I mean, it's like ear-to-ear grins. Just walk around with ear-to-ear grins all the time. You'd be surprised how people, they're sitting on you look so happy. I am. I mean, I'm absolute. It's been just an amazing week. It's just been an unbelievable, mind-blowing week. I'm having the happiest week of my life. Really? And you'd be surprised, like a magnet. I don't know what that is, but that is so cool. That's so funny. Well, good. That's cool. I'm glad. So you guys are wrapped. That's good. Awesome.
Yeah. It's a very cool design. So we just figure wherever we go, if people are interested, it'll draw attention or whatever, and it looks cool.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to give, because I don't want to get the call going too long. I'm sorry we started a little late, but we want to keep them usually within an hour. I'm going to give a quick how-to example that was hysterical. There was a guy once who was a master of conversation, but he had no problem. He was so certain he was certain. He said, I want to help people. He was based out of Houston. He said, I know where to find cans with lids that'll fall off. Now, we call it differently, but he basically was saying the same thing. I know where I can go find some cans. Houston traffic, Dallas has a traffic problem. Houston has a traffic crisis. I mean, you get into Houston rush hour traffic, and it's a freaking parking lot for, 8 lanes parking lot. And so what he did was he went out and he had bought a brand new, gorgeous, black on black and stuff, Lexus, the top of the line Lexus SUV, and on his back window, he said, do you hate being stuck in traffic, and would you love a wonderful, how do you put it, a wonderful free lifestyle? Call this number. And it was his mobile number. Now, understand, when he'd answer, he'd say, by the way, I apologize. I know I'm in traffic with you, but I have to run a special errand that my wife's asked me to run. So otherwise, I would never be here, but I had to because I hate this. But that's what he did. And he would literally go drive in rush hour traffic, and his cell phone would start to light up. And he'd just sit there, and he said, I'm stuck in traffic. I can't go anywhere. So he would actually go prospect, like every morning and every evening. He would drive into traffic. He's, admittedly, but he said, I'm telling you, Curtis, you'd be surprised how many people you get to call. He would cold call. And he'd just say, oh, gosh, it's terrible, I guess. I know this sounds funny, but I normally never go into traffic. So people just see that when I'm driving. But now I had to go to the store to get something. And that's how, because he'd always say, honey, should I go get you something? She said, yes. Go get me some prospects. It's 4:30. Go. And so that way he wasn't lying to them, but he always had his wife. He said, he joked about it. But so that's my whole point. When you are, but when he called them, it wasn't about his opportunity. It wasn't about his product. It wasn't about his comp plan. It was, no, normally I'm not in traffic, but I'm sorry you're stuck here with me. But simple. Let me ask you some questions. And part of it would be if there was a way that you could actually get yourself out of traffic, not having to change what you're doing, but you could, if you would team up and partner with some people, and we could create a business project. What are you looking for in life? And he just started asking questions, and that's it. He just started having conversation, asking questions, say, well, I don't really know if this would be something of any interest to you. So what I'll do is, you call, I got your mobile number. I'll just text you some stuff. Go take a look at some videos, and if you got an interest, call me back, and let's talk about it. It may not be for you, but if nothing else, maybe I can help you find something that might help you get out of traffic. I know a lot of people and a lot of companies, a lot of things. And so he would say, I'm here to serve you. So if mine's not for you, maybe we can find you something else. I'm basically a business coach. That type of thing. So he developed a conversation pattern so he wouldn't be talking about his company, he wouldn't be talking about his product. He just said, I'm a business coach. I help people identify what they want out of life and then create plans to go get it. And we find coaching teams that they can team up with, that they can fit with. And if got a couple things we can talk about. If they're not a good fit for you, maybe we can point you in a direction that would be a good fit for you. And he'd actually, because he said, I talk to people, and if I was in a nutrition, but they were really better suited for skincare or for something else, because we talk about what is their passion, he said, I find out things they like to do. And if they'd really be much more excited about participating in a travel company or something, he said, I'd point him to a friend who was in network marketing for travel, because they were only going to do nutrition or skincare for so long before their personality wasn't going to mix and it wasn't going to happen. So, he said, again, I'm there to serve them. So he'd say, I'm a business coach, and I help people figure out what they want in life and then find ways that around their current life they can work things in to take control of their life. And so if that's of interest to you, let me send you some stuff, take a look. And that was it. So again, because he was who he was supposed to be and he was so certain he had the answer, he said, in any environment where I can open a conversation that's not about me and I'm not going to pitch him and I don't have to be the product expert, I don't have to be the comp plan expert, I have to be I care about you as a human being, and I'm here to help you find a way to save your life and get out of the traffic jam, and it may not be doTERRA, and that's great. That's fine, because if you call me and if you'll talk to me, I'll help you go find a company. If it's not mine, I'll help you go find somebody else, because I know network marketing is the path, and if it's not my path, then let's go get you on a good path. You know, that's one of the things Lisa and I have done. We have had people call us for years and years that we've never put in the companies that we were in because it wasn't the right fit for them, because doTERRA is not right for everybody, and you know, this company is not right for everybody, and to think that they are, it is being, that's not right. Don't do that. There's always the right fit for them, but their doTERRA is so right for so many. Stop, put down the can opener, and go find the lids that pop up. And when that happens, it's really, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised in any circumstance you can strike up conversations, because there's no fear anymore. You know, people are so afraid to talk to people. No, that's because you think it's about you. Stop trying to be cool. Be dorky, but make it about them, and it's okay. But be a truly giving dorky person, and they'll be attracted to it. So anyway, there you go. Be who you're supposed to be. You'll get unstuck, and your teams will crank, and you guys will start exploding diamonds right and left, and blowing people up through the ranks. And the RV world, you're gonna rebound the economy as they have to. The RV companies got to expand, because you got all these doTERRA wrapped RVs running around the U.S. Somebody's gonna call the company and say, "You guys like pay a lot of RV people to wrap?" So I don't know. Broome and Mark couple, they created this thing, but it's cool, isn't it? You want to get an RV? Let's go. And then when you get out of the RV, you can hop on a plane, come on over, and visit Hong Kong, and have some fun in Asia too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, next time you come home, we'll try and make it. I actually tried to put you on the map when we first started, but we got on the road. We had a snafu getting going, but it would have been cool to get down there. So we'll make a plan to come Texas way when you guys get back.
No problem. Yeah, we'll coordinate that one. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, what is the date of the skydiving? You need to check, because
September 8th.
Because I think we may actually have an event on the 11th. That may have been, and I for some reason I thought it was the 18th. So let me check and confirm, because I did say I'd come leap out of a plane, which means I'll come leap out of a plane.
Yeah.
Because if the event's in the 11th, then I might have to leap out of the next plane. Either that, or I would just go leap out of a plane, take a video, and say, "Here, show it to everybody." So at least you know that I've leaped in honor of you.
Yeah. It's September 8th, so that way.
Right. Okay, then I'll go check real quick, because it's either the 11th or the 18th. So, all right.
Cool.
All right, gang. Well, listen, Corinna, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, all right, gang. We'll do great, and can't wait to see you, whether it's next week or the week after or whenever. It'll be Lisa or I, and we'll continue the story as Broome and the wild adventures of Broome and Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.